Ugh. Yep. It's another Halloween and I'm stuck indoors. Not that that's a bad thing. It's actually the perfect way to celebrate my Halloween tradition. Sitting inside alone, eating candy, and playing Game Boy games.
Hey, Silvery.
Whoa, Nick, what are you doing on my Game Boy? Huh. Well, I'm just about to start the classic Silvery Halloween tradition. You doing anything?
I actually have my own Halloween tradition. I play my favorite game, Luigi's Mansion, every year. I'm actually about to start if you want to join.
You don't have to ask me twice. Luigi's Mansion was released as a launch title for the Nintendo GameCube in 2001, and part of the reason why it was the best-selling console of the 6th generation. Second best-selling console of the 6th gen. It beat the Dreamcast. Every Nintendo console up to this point launched alongside a Mario game, and the GameCube got a spiritual successor to an education game on the Super Nintendo whose main selling point was a complete lack of Mario.
Luigi's Mansion was developed alongside the GameCube and was originally supposed to star Mario. The idea was to make a dungeon-like adventure through a large house, initially starting as a Japanese-style ninja house, then a dollhouse, before settling on the haunted ghost-filled mansion. With a new focus on more horror elements, Luigi was made the protagonist as developers figured a more cowardly protagonist would fit a game better, and Mario was seen as too brave. This, of course, is completely wrong and is why Miyamoto is a stupid baby. Luigi is brave. He's obviously scared, but he still confronts the realistically terrifying task of going through a ghost-filled mansion.
Luigi's Mansion earned positive reviews from critics and sold over 2 million copies, and despite it being cited by former Nintendo president Yamauchi as a key reason for his retirement in 2002, Luigi's Mansion became a cult classic that would later evolve into a mainstay Nintendo franchise.
But this is where it all started, baby. The one and only game that gave us the Pikmin trailer. This is Luigi's Mansion.
Luigi's Mansion begins with the titular Luigi approaching the titular mansion. Apparently, Luigi won this mansion in a contest he didn't even enter, and I honestly couldn't blame the man. Mario was supposed to meet him there, but by the time Luigi arrived, Mario was nowhere to be found. Upon entering the mansion, the player learns that this is definitely a different Mario game. Luigi moves slowly, and instead of jumping, pressing the A button just makes Luigi. Mario! Yep, the biggest button on the controller has zero functionality in most situations. We're in for a good one, everybody.
Instantly, as Luigi opens the door and sets foot in the mansion, you get a clear idea of how incredible the environment is. You see the detail in the door and everything surrounding you, how good the flashlight casts over everything it touches with this hauntingly spooky lighting, perfectly casting this new grim tone for the Mario universe. Also, there is so much dust.
The way Luigi is animated is also top-notch. How he manages to be completely stiff and rigid, and yet his expressions are so energetic and bouncy is something I can't even properly wrap my head around. Prior to this game, Luigi was only really used as a multiplayer character and didn't have much of anything to differentiate himself from Mario. With this game, he couldn't be more different from Mario. He's goofy, over the top, yet he still possesses Mario's heroic qualities, albeit behind a layer of awkward cowardice.
He is not a coward. He is a man in an unfamiliar situation. Are you a stupid baby like Miyamoto?
What? No.
After exploring and having your first paranormal encounter in the foyer, you get the key and open the door to the parlor, where you meet your first ghost and the man who should probably already be a ghost. Egad saves your life and with no time to explain takes you back to his lab. Egad is just an old man scientist who has been there since his 20s doing God knows what, but damn is he oozing with personality from his gibberish to his actual dialogue. And if you don't think he's perfect, you are absolutely wrong, as he literally has not changed in almost 20 actual years. Same exact gibberish and all, just now with lip sync.
This is when Luigi is given the Poltergust 3000 by Egad, a vacuum that can suck up ghosts. After a fast and funky training session, Egad sends his newfound son back into the mansion to recover his escaped portrait ghosts and find Mario. This is where Luigi's quest truly begins. This is Luigi's Mansion. Oh, hey, Toad's here.
Upon entering the parlor again, Luigi is greeted by the portraits on the wall threatening his life with so much suspense it was actually terrifying as a child and offers chills down to the spine to this very day. Then the ghosts appear to threaten you physically, which allows you to put the poltergeist to work. Most of the game follows this simple combat formula of flashing ghosts and sucking them up when they're stunned. The variation comes with how each ghost acts differently, something that can be seen as early as the next two rooms with the purple punchers and the garbage can ghost.
Now that you know how to take on enemies, it's time to start working towards retrieving the portrait ghosts. And as a gameplay tutorial, the first 3 portrait ghosts are handled perfectly. Portrait ghosts can't just be stunned and sucked like enemies, they can only be stunned after certain conditions are met. Take Neville, the first portrait ghost of the game. He can only be stunned when he yawns, showing that some ghosts have to be interacted with in a certain way to be captured. Next is Lydia, who can only be stunned when she goes to close her window, showing that some ghosts can only be captured when interacting with their environment. The last portrait ghost is Chauncey, who combines both of the principles learned from the first 2 ghosts. He's summoned by sucking on the rocking horses and can be stunned by shooting a ball at him. It's a simple and cohesive progression that perfectly illustrates the main gameplay cycle found throughout the game. Chauncey differs from the other portrait ghosts though, as he's the first boss of the game. Boss fights in this game are very traditional compared to those seen throughout the Mario franchise, having to dodge the boss's attacks and wait for the right chance to suck. These fights serve as the climactic end for each major part of the game, and are followed by the reportraitization of the ghosts and a tally of your money for this point in the game.
The portrait frame of each ghost you capture represents how well you did capturing them. Suck within 90 HP first try, you get the gold. 89 to 50, you get silver, and the rest is bronze. Boss fights translate this to Luigi's health at the end of the fight, as you can't really get those guys in one big suck. The number of pearls received from portrait ghosts also increases the longer you suck, further enticing you to try to suck them in one go. The reason you actually want the money is because what you earn translates to your end rank and what home Luigi will reside in at the end of the game. And who wouldn't want to see this hot Italian sausage live in the best house possible, even though he canonically ends up rank D anyways in Dark Moon. I can respect it either way. We love a modest man that no matter where he ends up, that is Luigi's mansion.
By this point, the game continues to follow the rhythm set from Area 1. Clear out enemy ghosts, capture portrait ghosts, and beat the boss. The structure stays the same but is added upon with new gameplay mechanics, optional ghosts, and occasional secrets. The 2 major additions for this area are the elemental metals and boos. Fire and water elemental metals can be found in this area, with an ice metal being introduced in Area 3. Certain enemy ghosts can only be stunned when hit by a certain element, but what makes the metals truly great is the depth they add to puzzles. It adds a whole new layer to taking down the portrait ghosts, and are used in pretty creative ways. Using ice to freeze a showering ghost, using fire to set the candles for a gluttonous ghost's dinner, making a little girl think she wet the bed. Look, I said they were creative, I didn't say they weren't weird. I'd also like to add that this is a game where Luigi wears a device created by EGAD on his back that can shoot water to solve puzzles, an idea that would be ripped off by his brother just 10 months later. You couldn't just let Luigi have this one?
Boos add more than just a gameplay aspect. For everyone going into the game blindly, they might be like, "Hey, what the heck, Mario is ghosts, but these ghosts aren't Mario ghosts, and I know I've seen the Mario ghost in the box, so why aren't they Mario ghosts?" I'm sorry. Well, they are there. They're just hidden away until Luigi frees them. The poor man literally made his entire situation worse by tenfold. This reveals that the newly introduced King Boo is the one behind everything, and he's captured Mario in a painting. Not only does this add to the story, King Boo just has a threatening presence that can be felt from this point forward. Just a side note, this is King Boo. A Boo with a gem crown that we see in later games gives him powers and dark sunken in red eyes that are purple in later games. This is King Boo, a Boo with a generic crown and no distinct traits from normal Boos other than big. It's not important, he's just so lame when compared to the real King Boo. The one from Sunshine gets a pass because he actually looks unique. I don't know, maybe it's his cousin or something. So King Boo is now the obvious big bad end goal of the game, and the rest of the Boos are scattered throughout the mansion. There are 50 Boos total, one being hidden in every room. This adds a kinda hide and seek challenge to the game with the help of the Game Boy Horror's Boo Radar. Boos are captured differently from other ghosts. They don't need to be stunned before capture, but they actively try to escape your suction. The challenge comes from positioning yourself and moving with the Boo's movement so they don't escape. Getting the Boos could have felt like a lazy, unneeded addition, but it's more of a cherry on top of what is already a complete adventure. And it only gets frustrating towards the end of the game with the ridiculously high HP Boos that are guaranteed to make you go back and forth between rooms.
This is where the game's story really picks up. Further exploring the mansion, Luigi finds several of Mario's trinkets, including his hat, glove, shoe, star, and letter, because it wouldn't be Mario without his trusty letter.
How would he have gotten in trouble if he had the superstar?
Bringing these items to the portrait ghost Madame Clairvoyant foreshadows upcoming events in the story, warning that Boos become stronger when they gather together, and that King Boo may have revived Bowser, who I guess is dead by this point in the Mario continuity. Luigi repays this kindness by trapping her in a painting for all eternity, reaffirming his moral ambiguity. Other than new story and gameplay additions, Area 2 and 3 are fairly straightforward. Area 2 ends with a boss fight with Bogmire. I don't know what I'm looking at, but apparently he's, and I quote, the manifestation of the mansion's fear and despair, although he's not sure who to fear or what to despair these days. Alrighty then.
Some of the ghosts in this game can get pretty weird, but they're all memorable in their own ways. Just a few of my favorites are Shivers with how he wanders the hall with the lone candlestick before even getting him open to be sucked. Mr. Lug's dry heaving with his flame breath and butlers, Miss Petunia's funny catfish, and Fast and Furious Laser Eyes Nana.
My personal favorite is Melody Pianissima, a ghostly pianist who specializes in classic Mario songs. Area 3 ends with Madame Clairvoyant's prediction coming true, as the Boos gather together to form the massive Boo-wels, which is easily the most obnoxious fight in the game. Having to catch 15 Boos with the somewhat precise ice element is more than a little annoying, but after that we can head right to Area 4. What happened?
You've played this game since your childhood. Don't act like you don't know about the blackout.
No, I know that's part of the game, but why did my lights go out?
It was the despair and anguish of Bogmire.
Okay. The blackout is a major turning point in the game. After playing the game for this long, there's nothing the mansion can do to surprise you, but the blackout brings back the chilling mystique that the mansion had at the very beginning of the game. Every room is dark, with an unrelenting onslaught of ghosts that won't stop until the lights come back. Thankfully, it isn't too hard to get the power back, but the surprise and suspense caused by the blackout really does a great job of, ironically, jump-starting the adventure again right before the home stretch. After capturing the last remaining portrait ghosts and Boos, you confront King Boo and his secret sewer altar for the final battle. Only the final battle isn't with King Boo, it's with King Boo's Bowser cosplay. Honestly, this final battle is a little out of place considering the rest of the game's bosses. However, having to capture King Boo while Bowser's severed head is attacking you might be the scariest thing this game has to offer. Except maybe Bogmire.
It's just weird because it definitely feels like they weren't confident enough to end the game without a Bowser fight, so they just made a King Boo with a Bowser skin. But the fight itself and the idea behind it still works for me personally. Of course King Boo is going to scare Luigi even more with Bowser, and his movements are so uncanny but it still has life. Seeing Bowser snap his head back into place is great and spooky, but it's especially great when he leaves it on backwards. I think it's not the best choice, but it works. And you still capture King Boo normally, and the gameplay of the boss is great and challenging.
With King Boo and the rest of the portrait ghosts captured, Luigi's mansion reaches its conclusion. After using the ghost portrificationizer, oh my god, has anyone tried to say that out loud before? After using the device in reverse, Mario is saved from his pastel prison, in a cutscene that's pretty funny and oddly touching to see Luigi cry over the rescue of his brother. Whether that's from relief or laughter is up to interpretation, but it's a really sweet ending to an otherwise pretty dim adventure. Not to say that it was bad. After all, this is Luigi's mansion. So that's the adventure. It's short, it's simple, but it's very sweet. The game doesn't feature much replayability other than playing the game again to get more money and better ranks on the portrait ghost. It's a short enough game to where having to start from the beginning isn't a big chore, and there's plenty of secrets that can be missed on a first playthrough, like the hidden speedy spirits and golden mice that drop a ton of money when captured, or watering the flower in the boneyard to get a gold diamond. It's not much, but you could always try the hidden mansion. This mode has a lot more changes in the Japanese and PAL versions, but for the US version it basically makes the enemies stronger. Kind of lame considering other versions go as far as mirroring the layout of the mansion and including a new boss fight against Boo-wels, but at least it's something.
Also the 3DS version. A completely unneeded kind of downgrade to the game that was victim to the why not put it on Switch debate that affected a lot of 3DS games released after the Switch's launch. And while that debate is right and justified, I still love this version. Sure, the lighting and dust particles are different and don't do as good of a job of immersing you, and the controls might be just a little odd, but you get used to it. Playing on the 3DS is an obvious downgrade, but it works. You don't notice as much on the small screen, and you get used to the controls whichever option you use. The compromises are clear, but they did the best they could, and it does work. Plus, some of the new additions are just straight up better. Better gallery layout with new pictures, a time trial mode, the better POW hidden mansion, and co-op with Luigi's debut, even though it apparently runs at 15 frames per second. Either way, Luigi is always a factually great addition, so there's no debate. As someone who doesn't have his GameCube on hand, this version is just great to pick up and play as I've done for the past 3 years now. Luigi's Mansion is just my favorite game of all time. And to put it simply, it's how everything in the game comes together to create the perfect lighthearted but still eerily spooky environment. The mansion itself with the rooms, ghosts, and everything in between comes together to make such an amazing environment that it's its own character. And the music, oh god. This one simple theme carries the entire game and never gets old, changing in whatever way is needed, and when Luigi hums it, it is perfection. The environment in this game is just unmatched. I love this game and how simple and sweet it's making me feel tonight and always every Halloween season.
Just looking at it from a game design perspective, it's hard to deny that Luigi's Mansion is a very well made game. The progression is incredibly cohesive, the atmosphere is fantastic, and the game is just overall a fun experience. It may seem like a basic GameCube launch title, but the game really does a great job standing out amidst Nintendo's massive franchise list. Like, who would have thought that Nintendo putting all of their eggs in a Luigi-shaped basket would pay off and help make the GameCube the best-selling console? A top 5 best-selling console. Still better than the Dreamcast. Luigi's Mansion stands as a shining gem in Nintendo's history, and it's a game that's just as great now as it was almost 20 years ago. And after all that, still doesn't explain the blackout.
Silvery, I told you, this is Luigi's Mansion.
Get out of my Game Boy.
Okay, just know that the real mansion is the Luigi's Mansion inside of all of our hearts.